Hello everybody, welcome back to a brand new video on the 3D Critic channel. I'm David, your host, and today I'm going to give you guys my performance review on the New Balance Kawhi 4s. Now, getting right into it when it comes down to the try-on experience, it is pretty straightforward. It is a very easy slip-on shoe when it comes to trying them on. You do have to open up the laces a little bit just to get your foot inside the shoe, and be sure to hold down to the tongue because the tongue does shift inside the shoe a little bit when you put your foot inside the shoe. So once you put your foot inside the shoe, make sure you hold on to the tongue. That way it is a pretty seamless try-on experience. As far as sizing is concerned, I went true to size, and when I go true to size, the fit itself when it comes to the length runs a little long, and there is a good bit of a dead space on the forefoot because of that. And as far as the width goes, it is just right. However, once you break it in, it does open up a little bit once you break in the materials. So as far as narrow feet is concerned, I would probably go down half a size to accommodate the overall fit for yourself. And as far as wide footers are concerned, I would probably go true to size, maybe go up half a size if you have a wide foot. So be mindful of that when it comes to wearing this. The length is a little long and the width is just right, and it does open up a little bit once you break it in. As far as pricing is concerned, they go for $160 on New Balance's website in this colorway and a couple of other colorways if I'm correct. So if you guys are interested, I will leave a link in the description box below. So when it comes to the traction, in my experience, I found it to be surprisingly elite in my opinion. When it comes down to it, the outsole is a basic rubber outsole with this segmented radial traction pattern that you get throughout the outsole. And as far as lateral movements go, they were really good when it came down to being really shifty, going from side to side, so that I was able to get open for a shot and try to be sticky on defense as well. However, there were a little inconsistencies here and there when it came down to sliding a little bit. It did slide from here and there, but for the most part, it held its own on a clean court. But for vertical movements, this is where it excels because of the design of the traction pattern itself. It is meant for vertical movements. When it comes to lateral movements in general, I found it to be a little better when it came down to vertical movements, such as hard stops. It stopped on a dime when it needed to, and I didn't experience any slipping when it came down to that. And when it came down to get-offs, I had a really quick first step, and the pliability of the rubber itself allowed me to grab the floor really nicely. That way I get an instant get-off. That way I had a really quick first step. And as far as dusty courts is concerned, it wasn't really affected by it. If you are someone that routinely wipes every now and then, you should be good to go. And I didn't have any issues when it came down to the overall performance when it came down to a dusty setting. As far as durability goes, indoors, it is very good. The only signs of wear that I noticed are little scuffs on the edges of the outsole itself, but everywhere else, it is holding up pretty well. I wouldn't say the same when it comes to outdoor use. I would be cautious to take these outdoors because of the overall pliability of the rubber itself. It is very pliable when it comes to the central section of the shoe, and a little bit in the ridges of the shoe because it is also really pliable too. So I would avoid these outdoors, but indoors you would be solid all around, and you're going to be good to go for a good bit. So overall, the traction, in my opinion, is surprisingly elite. Really good laterally, but a little inconsistent. And vertically, it is one of the best out there. Dusty courts, not affected by it. And overall durability, keep it indoors, and outdoors, it's not good in my opinion. Now, as far as cushioning goes, the midsole setup in this shoe is a dual density fuel cell foam setup. And when it came down to the overall cushioning setup, they were surprisingly good, in my opinion. When it came down to the forefoot cushioning, they were very responsive as usual when it comes down to the fuel cell foam in general. It is a very firm foam, and it is very responsive overall. And it is also very bouncy too, from what I have experienced with the Energy Arc Plate that you get in the midfoot. Gives you a really springy feel under your foot, and it gives you that diving board-like effect when you're trying to get up in the air, getting rebounds and blocking people's shots and stuff like that. So I really liked how lively the forefoot cushioning was, in my opinion. When you move into the heel, they are surprisingly comfortable too. They were very forgiving under your foot, but not as mushy from what I've experienced when it came down to the Fresh Foam BBV2s that I reviewed earlier. But given that it is a fuel cell foam, I didn't expect it to be mushy at all. I expected it to be a little firm overall, but they were amazingly mushy and very comfortable under your foot. And when it came down to impact protection, it was really good. And when it came down to heel strikes, it was very forgiving as a whole. As far as fluidity goes, they are very fluid because of the overall forgiveness of the midsole itself. It lets you plant the heel with the really nice compression, and the shank plate in the forefoot helps you propel you forward. That way the overall fluidity that you get is nice and fluid and really quick in general, so you're able to go up and down the court very easily with this. And it is a very light shoe in general with the overall build that you get. So I really liked how light the shoe was, and the overall cushioning setup was very lively and responsive under your foot, and I really enjoyed it overall. And then they are slightly below the Fresh Foam BB V2s in my opinion when it came down to the overall feel of the cushioning itself. Now, when it comes to the overall build of the shoe, it is made up of engineered mesh throughout the shoe with these glossy fuse overlays that you get here in the forefoot, as well as along the waistline here as well. The tongue itself is also made of a really nice mesh with some nubuck here on the top, with a plastic heel cup in the back of the shoe. And as far as overall comfort is concerned, they were very buttery and comfortable on foot, and they broke in very easily overall, and I didn't have to experience any break-in time because of the flexible mesh material that you have. And as a result of that, it conforms to the foot really well. That way you won't experience any pinching in the forefoot. And when you continue into the midfoot, the padding that you get on the tongue along with the flat laces was really comfortable overall, and it allowed you to tighten up the laces and still feel comfortable overall. The padding in the heel is adequate. It's gets the job done in my opinion. You do get these little Achilles pillows in the back, but they're very minimalistic when it comes to overall comfort in the heel, but they get the job done. As far as aesthetics go, I'm not really a fan of the pink materials that you get in the shoe, but I do like the hint of materials when it comes down to premium quality with the nubuck here that you get on the tongue. And I also like the fiery look that you get on the tongue with the Kawhi's number that you get on the top of the tongue, which looks really nice along with the plastic cup in the back, along with the comic style wording that you get with Kawhi's in the back, and the 4 that you get on the bottom of the waistline here. And it overall completes the overall wild look that you get from this shoe. But overall, I can't complain. The materials overall are pretty comfortable in my opinion, and I really like the overall feel when it came down to it. But the aesthetics are a little wild for me, and overall they just get the job done overall for me, and I really liked how comfortable they were as a whole. So when it comes to the lockdown, when you start in the forefoot, they were okay for the most part in my opinion. Because of the snug fit that you get when it comes down to the overall width, it ensures you that you won't slide when you're doing lateral cuts. But because they run a little long, you do slide a little bit when it came down to hard stops. But it wasn't anything serious, and it wasn't very painful when it came down to doing hard stops. When you move into the midfoot, this is where it excels because of the speed lacing system that you have with the cables in the midfoot. It allows you to really cinch the midfoot. That way you are glued into place, and you have to tighten them really tightly because the laces themselves are a little short, and you have to adjust for that if you want a really solid lockdown in my opinion, especially in the heel, because in the heel I found it to be just average in my opinion, and I did experience some heel slippage here and there, but it didn't really bother me that much when I was playing overall. And when you try to notice it, that is when you experience the heel slippage. So overall, it's a good lockdown at the end of the day. It's okay in the forefoot and in the heel, but it makes up for it in the midfoot overall with the speed lacing system that you get. And lastly, when it comes to support, as far as lateral containment is concerned, it is okay for the most part. In the forefoot, it relies mainly on the engineered mesh materials, and its only line of defense when it comes down to that is the midsole itself that does flare outward, and you also sit inside the midsole a little bit. That way it contains the forefoot. And when you move into the midfoot, it relies on the fuse materials that you get on the lateral side. That gives the material a little rigidity so it doesn't give out when you're doing lateral cuts. And the heel, it is really good with the plastic clip that you get in the back, and also you get an internal TPU heel counter. That way the heel is basically clamped into place and you won't experience any instabilities in the heel when it comes down to lateral stability in general. Torsional rigidity, it is really good because of the energy arc shank plate that you get in the midfoot. Gives the shoe some rigidity, and it also gives the shoe enough flexibility. That way you're able to do what you need to do and be contained while you're doing it as well. So I like the torsional rigidity that you get, and the base itself is nice and wide with the outsole that you get. It gives you a nice solid platform to land on when you are coming down on your own 2 feet. So torsionally, and when it comes to the overall base support, it is very good. Lateral support, it gradually improves from being okay in the forefoot to becoming really good in the heel. And overall, it has really good stability with the wide flat platform that you have under you, and the overall torsional rigidity that you get from the shoe as well. So to sum it up, overall, I really like this shoe when it came down to the traction and cushioning in general. I was overall very surprised at how well the traction performed, along with the cushioning with the fuel cell foam that you get, which is dual density. I thought it would be a firm setup, but it was overall very responsive, complementing the fuel cell foam style. And it was also very forgiving, which I found to be very surprising in general. But the overall material choice was a little bit of a letdown when it comes to the overall quality that you get, as well as the support. It easily gives out on you, and that is where you are going to have a better time with when it comes to the New Balance Fresh Foam BBV2s that I've tried. I would probably suggest those over these if you want more bang for your buck, in my opinion. Those go for $150, maybe even less if they have gone on sale, and these go for $160, so it's kind of hard to suggest these over those, since I had a better time with those. And the traction overall is a little bit better, as well as the cushioning setup. But if you want a really responsive ride with an explosive pop under your foot, this is a very good choice overall. And if the materials, comfort overall is what you're looking for, this is a very good choice overall. And I would absolutely recommend it to you guys if your money isn't a problem for you guys. But if you are on a budget, I would probably go with the BBV2s over these. But overall, it's a pretty solid shoe at the end of the day. Thank you guys for watching this video. This has been my performance of the New Balance Kawhi 4s. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and comment down below on what you think of the Kawhi 4s, any experiences that you've had, and if you think they are better than the Fresh Foam BBV2s. I'd like to know your thoughts on that to see if there are any comparisons between the two. And if you would like to see my performance review on the Fresh Foam BBV2s, I will leave it on this side of the screen if you guys are interested. And if you want to subscribe to the channel, feel free to hit the subscribe button down below, and it'll greatly support the channel as well. If you'd like to stay in touch with me via social media, all of that information will be in the description box below as well, if you guys are interested in following me there. I hope you guys enjoyed the rest of your day. I hope this was beneficial to you guys. And until next time, keep shooting.